You'd never guess what Tristan Tate actually keeps in his garage. One of his cars can show up like a movie prop, then vanish like it was never there, and people still count it as owned anyway. Viewers spot him in clean clips, but the everyday proof stays weirdly missing. So what does Tristan Tate really drive, and which cars are just hype on a list? Today we're breaking down Tristan Tate's insane 25-car collection. One, Aston Martin DBS Superleggera. Let's kick things off with the Aston Martin DBS Superleggera. This car looks like something straight out of a James Bond movie. Sleek, powerful, and packed with style. But hold up, how often do we actually see it outside of perfectly staged clips? People claim it's Tristan Tate's daily driver, but where's the proof? You'd expect everyday moments, traffic, gas stops, or casual parking. But instead, we only see it during well-scripted shots. The DBS Superleggera has a 5.2-liter V12 engine producing 715 horsepower. It's fast, it's flashy, but is it real or just a piece of the marketing story? 2. Aston Martin DBS 770 Ultimate. Next up is the Aston Martin DBS 770 Ultimate. This car is described as insanely limited, but here's the catch. There's no concrete proof that Tristan Tate has it in his collection. Order slot or actual delivery, that's the real question. Fans think he owns it, but we haven't seen the car in action. The DBS 770 Ultimate is limited to 499 units, making it an instant flex for anyone lucky enough to have one. Yet, despite the hype, there's no footage of Tate taking delivery. So, did he actually get it, or is it just a future dream car? 3. Aston Martin V12 Vantage. The Aston Martin V12 Vantage is another one that's tied to Tristan Tate, but here's the issue. Where's the content? Sure, it shows up in registries, but this car is supposed to be a powerhouse with a 510 horsepower V12 engine and a top speed of 190 miles per hour. Yet we barely see it in action. A car like this should have tons of footage, revving, cruising, and showing off its speed, but it's almost non-existent on all social media. It could be in the garage, or maybe it's already gone, but until we see proof, it remains a mystery car in his collection. 4. Aston Martin V12 Vantage AM6. The Aston Martin V12 Vantage AM6 has fans scratching their heads. Some say Tristan Tate has 2 V12 Vantages, but is that true? The AM6 model shows up on lists as a separate car, but could it be the same car under a different name? The AM6 trim doesn't drastically change the car, so it's possible that one car is being counted as 2 just because of a slight variation. The V12 Vantage itself has 510 horsepower and a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of 3.9 seconds. So if he really has 2, that's a wild flex. But we need clearer evidence. 5. BMW M5 Competition tuned. People talk about Tristan Tate's BMW M5 Competition, saying it's tuned to 800 plus horsepower. But where's the proof? The car is a beast with 617 horsepower stock, and it can be easily tuned to push well over 700 horsepower. That's a serious performance car, but there's a lack of footage showing it being driven hard. We hear a lot about the car's numbers, but do we ever see it doing 800 plus horsepower worthy things? The M5 Competition has a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of 3.1 seconds, so it's definitely fast. But the real question is, does it actually get used to its true potential? 6. Mercedes B63 Brabus S63 Coupe. Let's talk about the Mercedes B63 Brabus S63 Coupe. This car has a wide body and an aggressive look that screams performance. But is it the real deal or just a cosmetic upgrade? Brabus is known for its performance tuning, but there's no concrete proof that this S63 has been fully upgraded. The car could just have the Brabus styling without any major changes under the hood. Real Brabus builds usually come with proof, specific upgrades, power numbers, and repeat use. but this one seems to focus more on the visual impact. So, is it a real performer or just a visual flex? 7. Mercedes Maybach V-Class. The Mercedes Maybach V-Class is the kind of vehicle that screams luxury, but is it a personal flex or a business tool? It looks like the perfect luxury van for a personal collection, but it could also be a business asset, a tool for work, meetings, and podcasting. This van could very well be used for work purposes, yet it still gets counted as part of the personal collection because of its luxury appeal. The Maybach V-Class has S-Class levels of comfort and can cost upwards of $100,000, so whether it's a business asset or a personal ride is anyone's guess. 8. Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport. When you add a Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport to your collection, it changes everything. This car is crazy fast with 1,500 horsepower and a top speed of 217 miles per hour. The Chiron Pur Sport instantly becomes the star of any collection, and that's why Tristan Tate's claim to it feels so powerful. It's the car that anchors his entire fleet. Once you have one of these, it's hard for anything else to compete for attention. But here's the catch. Despite being tied to him, there's not much proof it's still part of his collection. Is it just a showpiece, or does it really live in his garage? 9. Bugatti Chiron Base. Now, what about the standard Bugatti Chiron? Some fan lists claim Tristan Tate has 2 Bugattis, with both the Chiron Pur Sport and a base model. The base Chiron packs 1,479 horsepower and can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds. But where's the proof of this second car? It could be that the base Chiron is just being counted twice, once as the Pur Sport and once as the regular model. Without clear, separate footage showing both cars in his collection, it's hard to confirm whether this is a second vehicle or just a double-counted registry entry. 10. Ferrari 458 Italia. The Ferrari 458 Italia is a car that fans often link to Tristan Tate, claiming he bought it as a gift for his cousin. But here's the twist. It's still in his garage. Does that make it part of his collection even if it wasn't technically his car? The 458 Italia is a 570 horsepower V8 capable of hitting 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.4 seconds, so it definitely deserves a spot in a high-end collection. But if it's just a gift, does it really count? Fans treat it like it's his even though it might not technically be. 11. Ferrari 812 Superfast. 812. Here's where things get tricky with the Ferrari 812 Superfast and the regular 812. The 812 Superfast has a 789 horsepower V12 and a top speed of 211 miles per hour, but some lists treat these two models as separate entries in Tristan Tate's collection. Is that legit, or is it a case of splitting hairs over names? Sure, the cars are slightly different, but the line between them is thin. With minor variations in specs, some people are counting them twice when it's really just one car in his collection. 12. Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spider. The Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spider is one of those cars that makes sense as a summer toy. It's loud, fast, and always turns heads. But the real question is, does it still exist in Tristan Tate's collection? Cars like this tend to get upgraded or replaced, and the Huracan Evo Spider might already be gone, even though the fan lists still say it's part of his collection. The car has 640 horsepower and can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.9 seconds, but without more content or sightings, we're left wondering if it's already been swapped for something newer. 13. Porsche 911 GT Street R techart. Tristan Tate's Porsche 911 GT Street R techart is one of 87 in the world, making it an extremely rare car. But here's the problem. Where's the footage? This car is supposed to be a performance machine with 700 horsepower, but it's barely seen in its content. Rare cars like this deserve more attention, but the techart Porsche barely gets any. Could it have been sold off? Or is it just sitting in storage? The lack of visibility makes it harder to confirm whether this car is still part of his collection. 14. Techart GT Street R. earlier 911 Turbo S. Before the newer 992-based GT Street R, Tristan Tate had an earlier version of the 911 Turbo S. But did he trade it in for the newer one, or does he still have both? The older version of the techart was already tuned to perfection, with 640 horsepower and a 0 to 60 mph time of 3.2 seconds. If he kept both, that's a wild flex, but it's hard to know. Some lists say he has both, but with no new proof, it's tough to tell if he kept the old car or moved on to the newer model. 15. Techart GT Street R 992. The techart GT Street R 992 is an absolute monster, but here's where things get interesting. Some lists treat this car as a separate entry, counting it alongside the older model as if they're two different cars. The 992 version has 640 horsepower and a top speed of 205 miles per hour, so it definitely deserves attention. But here's the catch. Could it be that one car is being counted twice simply because of slightly different specs? Without proof showing both cars side by side in his collection, we have to question if the car count is just another spreadsheet trick. 16. McLaren 720S. The McLaren 720S was once a staple in Tristan Tate's fleet, but what happened to it? This car has 710 horsepower and can reach 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds, so it's definitely performance-oriented. But then, Tristan Tate mentioned having reliability issues with it, and suddenly, we stopped seeing it in his content. Did he trade it in for a newer model, or did the car just become a burden with too many issues? Once the 765LT came into the picture, the 720S seemed to vanish from the spotlight. Is it still there, or was it quietly replaced? 17. McLaren 765LT. The McLaren 765LT is a car that's built for serious performance. With 755 horsepower and a top speed of 205 miles per hour, this is a car that demands attention. But the real question is, how often do we see it being driven hard? Sure, it looks incredible when parked, but these cars are meant to be pushed to the limit, and we've seen little proof of that in Tristan Tate's content. If the car is really in his garage, why isn't it showing up in driving videos that match its power and performance? Or is it just a parked flex? 18. McLaren 765LT Spider. Now, the 765LT Spider. Tristan Tate teased this car, and fans are wondering if it will ever actually arrive. The purple spec is legendary, but there's one issue. No proof it's made it to his collection. The 765LT Spider costs over $400,000 and is a performance beast with 755 horsepower and top speeds of 205 miles per hour. But the coming soon story has been dragged out for months. So, has it actually arrived? Or is this one of those endless order stories that never materializes? Until we see it in person, we'll just keep wondering if it's a future dream or a permanent order. 19. Pagani Huayra BC. Here's where things get really confusing. Some lists show both the Huayra and the Huayra BC under Tristan Tate's name. The Huayra BC is a stunning car with 730 horsepower. But is it really in his collection? Or is this just a case of two rumors blending together? The BC is extremely rare and features a 0 to 60 mph time of 2.8 seconds, but there's no definitive proof of this hypercar being part of his garage. It's a dream car, but until we see clear footage, it feels like the second Pagani is more of a rumor than reality. 20. Koenigsegg Jesko. The Koenigsegg Jesko. This car has been one of the most talked about in Tristan Tate's collection, but here's the thing, we've never seen it in action. The Jesko is a 1600 horsepower hypercar with top speeds over 300 miles per hour, but no one has ever shown proof that Tristan actually owns one. It's all based on rumors and unconfirmed claims, and the lack of any clear evidence only fuels the mystery. This is the most famous maybe car in the entire collection. Until we see clear proof, we can't help but wonder if it's just another status story. 21. Rimac Nevera. The Rimac Nevera is a groundbreaking electric hypercar with 1,914 horsepower, but is it really part of Tristan Tate's collection? While there have been rumors about him owning one, actual footage is scarce. The Nevera is known for its insane performance, but missing street footage makes it hard to confirm. Cars like this tend to be kept private, especially electric hypercars, which don't always show up on public streets. But does that mean it's in his garage, or is the Nevera just another name tag hype? Until we see it in action, it's a mystery that fans love to speculate about. 22. Bentley Continental GT. The Bentley Continental GT is one of those cars that just makes sense in a luxury collection. With its luxurious interior and comfort-focused ride, it's the perfect choice for long drives. But here's the problem. Where's the footage? This car should be part of the everyday content, but it barely shows up. The Continental GT has 626 horsepower and a top speed of 207 miles per hour, but its absence from the limelight makes it feel more like a quiet list filler than an active part of the collection. So, is this car still around, or is it just another name that never shows up? 23. Rolls-Royce Wraith Black Badge. The Rolls-Royce Wraith Black Badge is a car with serious presence. There's the story of Tristan Tate driving it from London to Romania, which sounds like solid proof it's in his collection. But what happened after that road trip? Did it leave the collection after that long journey, or is it still parked in his garage? The Wraith Black Badge has a 624 horsepower V12 engine and a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of 4.4 seconds, so it's not just about luxury, it's got power too. But with no new content featuring it, the car's current status remains unclear. 24. Mercedes-Maybach V-Class again. The Mercedes-Maybach V-Class shows up again, and this time it begs the question, is it a personal luxury vehicle or more of a business tool? The Maybach V-Class is a mobile office, space for meetings, podcasts, and business travel. But fans treat it like a personal luxury flex because of its exclusive looks. So, does it belong in the personal collection, or is it really just a business asset dressed up as something more? At the end of the day, it's a luxury car, but how it's used and seen makes a big difference in whether it belongs on the list. 25. 1979 Lada 1500. Finally, we've got the 1979 Lada 1500. This car is the ultimate flex in a different way. It's a joke. Tristan Tate bought it as a troll car for valets, calling it a Russian supercar. It's cheap, funny, and totally unexpected, making it the most authentically Tristan Tate car in his whole collection. There's no over-the-top luxury or performance here, just a simple car used to mess with people. But oddly, this might be the most believable car in his collection because there's nothing to hide about it. Sometimes the most authentic flex is the one you least expect. Alright, if Tristan Tate's insane 25-car collection shocked you, we're seriously just getting started. Click the next video, because once you track what Tristan Tate actually drives, what only shows up for perfect clips, and what might be getting double counted, the whole story gets deeper.